Listen, if you thought raising a child was a challenge, I want you to guess again because parenting your parents when you're trying to build your own life, that is a struggle that nobody is talking about in this day and age. Hello, y'all. My name is Shantini Glangston. I'm your personal and professional relationship coach. I'm also an educator by day. Y'all pay for teachers because it's crazy. And welcome to a new episode of Beyond Advice. I'm so excited about this new podcast that the Holy Spirit has given me to do because we're not on here to give you guys lip service, but we're here to give you practical tools that you can use for the free 99. And tonight's episode is very touchy, but the conversation needs to be had. Okay, we are here to help our caregivers because they are often forgotten. They're always in the back. Okay, no one really cares about them. All right, as much because they're considered the strong people, right? But tonight, we are not having it. And I'm so excited to have my big sis, Christina Mitchell, who's going to introduce herself, tell people who you are, what you do. Go ahead, take the floor.
All right. Thank you, girl. I am Christina Mitchell. I am a guardian expert. I'm at Guardian Chronicles on Instagram. What I do is I guide caregivers on how to obtain guardianship for their loved ones that are unable to take care of themselves. I also provide caregiving resources as well as tips to keep us afloat as caregivers. And then also I assist with finding our loved ones activities and things to keep them lively, things to help build their social and recreational arenas within their lives as well. And I just help us as caregivers just do the best we can with what we got because, as we know, it isn't always easy. But
No, it is not. Okay. It is, and I got a whole lot that I can share, but we're going to take our time and give you guys what we can because we're going to do two parts of this. And to be told, like, to be told, we need to be doing a whole series. Like, it's
yeah.
so many layers to being a caregiver, being a guardian, and also building a life. Whether you're single, or you're in a relationship or if you're married, there are again so many dynamics that people are not talking about, but everyone's talking about relationship this, relationship that. No, we need to talk about us, ourselves, self.
Yes.
Like, what am I doing to stay healthy and bring balance into my life as a caregiver?
Mhm.
So tell the people about what you do as far as I know we're doing it early, but tell the people a little bit about Guardian Chronicles.
Okay, well, I started it in 2020 when my mom, she was living in an assisted living facility. Her facility ended up closing because they were having some certification problems. My mom ended up living with me. And I was like, okay, this is, ongoing the pandemic. And I was like, I'm going to need an outlet. So I started Guardian Chronicles as more so a diary of what it was like taking care of someone that has bipolar schizophrenia. So I'm legal guardian of my mother and legal co-guardian of my aunt. They both have bipolar schizophrenia. However, my aunt is in a assisted living home. So when I brought my mom to live with me, I started just doing a whole chronicles of what it was like, the ups, the downs, taking her to doctor's appointments, doing them virtually once, COVID had us on lockdown, what it was when my mom's episodes came about, how it was when she decided not to take her medications anymore, or when she was taking her medications, but that concoction wasn't working properly with her immune system. And then I realized I started getting comments like, hey, this is really helpful. And I'm a caregiver and my mom has schizophrenia, or my uncle, or my this, or my that. And I was like, wow. I was like, okay, this turned from a diary to okay, this is like a social group. This is somewhere where I can actually come to. And unlike me having to talk to my friends and family who may not always understand, because even with family, they're not as hands on as I am. So they don't always understand the struggles, the ups and downs. And I was like, wow, let me turn this into a social group in which I can help people and you guys could help me as well. So that's what started the whole caregiver's journey. And then people started to inquire, of course, about the guardianship. And I was like, okay, I got something here. I can help people, because it was really challenging for me. So for me to obtain guardianship for my mom, it ended up being the best thing that could have ever happened. And we'll go into that, I'm sure, further along. But, currently, with the site of, let's say, Wendy Williams, guardianship doesn't have the most positive light right now, because she's under a guardianship, not to go too far off, but she's under a guardianship that isn't suitable. But there are some guardianships that are positive. It's easy to do, and I really think that my platform in helping people that they need to get guardianship for their loved ones because they really can't take care of themselves, it could be the best thing possible, not only for your loved one, but also for you caring for them.
We'll say it louder for the people in the back, because I'm so glad you brought up the whole Wendy Williams part.
Yeah, I had to.
Because I'm like, man, and I made a comment, excuse me, on the Shade Room a while back. People were
Mm-hmm.
talking about, how come her family isn't a caregiver, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, the thing is, they may have not have capacity. She has, yes, sons who are well able, who could probably take care of her, but not in the sense that she may need. But it's important for them to actually interview.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with dating
Mm-hmm.
that arena to look and see who's the best candidate, what I'm saying, to take care of your loved one.
Right.
And like I told you before in your podcast, that I wanted to give her over to the state, and my godmother talked me out of doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
I am grateful that she did, because I probably would have been worried, because the state
Yeah.
don't care about you.
No.
Okay, they will do whatever they need to do to get money and put you
Correct.
anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm glad that my mother is in a great place.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm able to see her, talk to her. I have great relationship with the
Yeah.
providers at the home, and they let me know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So, but again, it takes I say, I won't say a strong person, but a willing person
Ooh.
who wants to step in. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
who wants to step in and be that support for, rather, the sibling or your parent. Again, it is a struggle, but getting the right support is necessary, and that's why we're talking about that tonight.
Right.
Okay, at least starting off, because again, there's different layers when it comes to healing
Mm-hmm.
from those wounds. Because again, our journey started way back before our adult life.
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to go into that. Talk about when, if you don't mind sharing, I know you said you're open book.
Yeah.
Um, I want you to talk about those childhood wounds. What did that look like? What was your struggle in that
Ooh.
area growing up?
Well, my caregiving journey started when I was an adolescent. So I always look, even on other podcasts. I mean, my uncle will say, Chris, I don't know why you told them 8 and 9 years old, because you were like 5 and 6 when all this started. But I can remember, I would say, as young as 8 and 9 years old vividly. And the situation was my mom being in and out of mental health institutions, guys. It was not easy. So we got my grandfather, my grandmother, my mom, and my uncle under one roof. And my mom, back in those days, when you had schizophrenia, guys, if you're going through an episode, the police comes and get you, they drag you out. They drag you out your house. They will drag you by your legs. They will throw you, into these police cars and go and get you. So that's where the trauma, go and get you treatment. But that's where the trauma started when I was that young. The caregiving portion of it was, even though I was just a kid, when I noticed every morning when I would get up for school, my mom has to take her medication. So when she wouldn't, guess who would make sure she did? I did. When we go and get groceries and things, I had to make sure my mom was okay. People would talk about her. They would make fun of her because she did talk to herself. She had hallucinations, delusions, and things like that. And it just wasn't easy. Fast forward, here it is. My grandmother has passed on. My grandfather had gotten sick because my grandfather decided to take care of me, and he was older and I was supposed to go to foster care. Long story short, I was there for a year. Grandparents took me out before my grandmother passed, and my grandfather got sick years on, and I ended up having to care for him. So here it is. He passed when I was 14. So I had to have been maybe like 10 or 11. I'm having to change a grown man's diapers. I had to wash him up. He would get sores. I had to make sure he was good. At this point, if you guys are wondering, where was my mom? Where was my uncle? My uncle moved out. He was living his life. He was trying to live the life that he could in his 30s. My mom was in and out of mental health institutions. So she would come in and out, you know, living at home, go back to the hospital, living at home, back to the hospital. And it was one of those things where I had to do what I had to do. You know, I had the responsibility that no one told me I had, but what else could I have done? Grandparents was taking care of me. Grandmother passed. Everyone moved out. Grandfather is left. So it's just he and I, you know? So I ended up asking my grandfather to let my aunt come stay with us while he was sick. Because at the time I was in middle school, remind you guys, he passed when I was 14. And my aunt, who also has bipolar schizophrenia, she was going through a divorce because her husband divorced her. She came to stay with us. And she also suffered from substance abuse issues. She started to go back into alcoholism. All right. So during this time, it's me, my grandfather, and my aunt, but it's also her dealing with alcoholism. And I'm doing this, guys, because my hair is wet and it seems to be dripping. Sorry, guys. But it's like, here it is. She's suffering from alcoholism. And now I'm having to deal with my mom going in and out the hospital. And for people that aren't familiar with that, what that means is, here it is, my mom isn't doing well. So now the police comes to get her. They put her in the hospital. They keep her in there for like a week or two. They release her back home to where we reside, to where we live. She's still not well. And in those days, which is still current, you know, they will take people with mental health problems and crises, and they will admit them in these facilities, and these doctors are supposed to help, but really they're not. You know, they just give them a bed, maybe drug them up a little bit. Unfortunately, it's really messed up, you know, and then they just send them back home. So the problem isn't solved. So there, my mom just constantly is just in and out, in and out. We don't have a choice. She's on rotation. Okay. So during the time of taking care of my grandfather, that was a trauma that I didn't know was a trauma. I thought, this is granddaddy. Like, and I used to call him dad because I didn't know my dad growing up. And it was like, why am I didn't have the mindset of, I shouldn't have to be taking care of my grandfather. I had the mindset of, he's taking care of me, so now I'm going to take care of him. That's how that was. But after, here was caregiving, and my grandfather had got so sick right before he passed, and he used to pray to God. He was very spiritual. He would pray to God that God would take his life because he hated having to live his life like this. He had a stroke, guys. I don't know if I said that, but he had a stroke. I want to say 2 strokes, and he couldn't use the left side of his body. So he got really depressed. So I ended up having the trauma of thinking, I'm not doing what I need to do because granddaddy is sick. So what do I need to do? My aunt, because she suffered from alcoholism, now she's just living in the house, guys. She's not taking her medication. She's screaming at the top of her lungs 24/7, you know, and I'm just sitting here like, I'm not doing something right. Not that I'm a kid, guys, not thinking, hey, I'm a kid, but I'm like, I'm not doing something right. My uncle would come in and out at one point, but then my uncle, he wouldn't necessarily like to come around my grandfather too much because of the lifestyle that he lived at the time. My grandfather didn't necessarily approve of it. I can let you guys know because my uncle is open with that, but my uncle, he likes men. And some people don't like the term of homosexuality or whatever, but so I don't know how you guys will want me to say that. But my uncle was like my everything, guys. When I tell you my uncle was my everything, but he didn't like to come around because my grandfather and him would argue and bicker, and he'll call him a fag and stuff like that. So during these times, my uncle didn't know that these things were happening. He didn't know. So if I fast forward to when I was 14, my grandfather, he ended up one morning, he was praying to God, God would take his life, all this stuff. And it just was normal to me. It was on rotation, guys. It was normal. It was like, okay, granddaddy's doing this again. Okay. Like it was just regular. And this time he was sitting in his chair and he just was looking up like this. And then he just kept looking and he was just looking. And I was like, Daddy, are you okay? And he just wasn't saying anything. And he was just looking and looking. And then all of a sudden, his whole head just dropped down and he just started to try and catch his breath. Okay. As he was catching his breath, I could hear his body releasing. I could hear him releasing everything. Okay. So at this time, we had what we call rotary dial phones. Okay. So we had the telephone with the little circle where you have to press it like this. So I called 911, but about time I did, I know he was gone. I already knew he was gone. And at the time, my aunt was in the basement suffering from her alcoholism, just, doing her thing down there, cussing, huffing, delusions, having her psychosis. My mom was also not doing well. So I'm like, this is just a world spin in a very negative situation. And that was a trauma that I never got therapy for when I was a child, but I talk about it in my therapy now. But I like to speak about this because it's a lot of people that have dealt with things like that, if not worse. And how my uncle ended up coming to take care of me, because who ended up raising me from 14 on to adulthood was my uncle. But the reason why he did is because my grandfather's friend, who also would come and go within the household, he would just come help take care of my grandfather. They met years ago when he used to drink alcohol, play the numbers and stuff like that. He would come and stay with us sometimes. But when my grandfather passed and my mom had to go into the hospital, because I called my uncle from the hospital, that's when we could do collect calls and stuff. And I remember telling my uncle, like, granddaddy has passed, all this. But my grandfather's friend, he was living in the house at the time, on and off, guys. Just he'll stay with us for the night or two, then he'll leave, stay for the night. So after he had passed, here it was not even a few weeks later. My uncle was like, I don't know about you staying there by yourself with this man in the house. And I'm giving you guys the short version, so it's probably a little scattered, but I hope you guys are following me. But he was like an uncle to me. He was my granddaddy's best friend, but he wasn't really helping, with the changing the diapers, the this, the that. He would literally kind of use our house as a place to stay. And one day I was there and I was at home I'm gonna say it was in the morning. It was a school morning for sure. And it was dark in the house. He was coming into the house. Again, my granddaddy had passed. And my uncle had not taken over. But my uncle was like, I think my uncle was trying to determine on whether he wanted to take care of me, just being honest. He's 30, I think he was 34 at the time. I'm 14. And he's like, well, this guy is like an uncle, and he was in and out the house anyway. So they're pretty comfortable with each other. But my uncle will warn me and say, keep a knife under your bed just in case, or under your pillow is what he said, and just in case something were to happen. And he asked me, did I feel comfortable staying with him after my grandfather passed, or him staying in my grandfather's house? And I'm like, okay, I don't have no problem with it, because he's like an uncle. Well, that morning he got into my bed and he just took his hand and he put it in the inside of my thigh. But before it could go any further, I just eased out the bed. I got my little knife under my pillow, eased out the bed. And here it is. My two best friends came by to pick me up for school so we could walk to school together. And they're like, oh, why you're not going? And I just couldn't fathom, guys, even though he didn't actually do anything to me. Okay. It's like he did something. So he didn't go all the way, but he went enough for me to be like, uncles don't do this, you know? He's not supposed to do this to me. Like, so I just sat on the couch and my best friends were like, why aren't you going to school? And I'm like, well, I don't honestly feel comfortable. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. And they're like, well, what happened? So I told them. So of course they went and told the neighbor next door. The neighbor next door was like, you're going to call your uncle, you know, period. And I'm like, no, I don't want to, because he's going to feel like he has to come take care of me. And, you know, my uncle had did a lot. I didn't give you guys the rundown of all the things my uncle had done, but over the years, my uncle had always made sure that I was okay, even through all the chaos in the house. So they made me call my uncle, my neighbor, and my best friends. And my uncle came, guys, and he well, on the phone, I'll give you guys the short conversation. He was like, what happened? I told him. He said, listen, you know, I'm coming over there. I'm going to cut my lease and we're going to figure this out. So at first, I think my uncle kind of was thinking, okay, should I take care of her for a short period of time? Should I ask a neighbor? Because he had even asked me, like, how would you feel living with your best friend's mom and things like that? But then he couldn't do it, guys. He couldn't do it. So he was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I'm just going to take care of her. So that was my life from 14 and on. But my uncle taking care of me and making sure I was good. But while he was making sure I was good, I had to make sure my mom was good. So that's a whole nother story. But that was my trauma as an adolescent that I had to deal with and that I still currently deal with on an everyday. And I hope that you guys listening to that, you know that you're not the only one dealing with this kind of stuff. You're not the only one having to figure out, what am I going to do? You know, you're not alone. And there are people like you. Like, don't give up. Don't give up. You can get through it. You will get through it. You know, don't go down the rabbit hole. Don't spiral. Know that you have, you know, you have us and you have lots of people that understand what you're going through. So, yeah.
Yes, this was so powerful. I was not gonna cut you
I
off.
know. I'm sorry, guys.
No, no, no. I was not gonna cut you off. You didn't cut me off when I was on your platform. So I'm so glad that you shared this story. And as you were talking, of course, I was resonating with a lot of what you're saying. You're
Yeah.
14 years old. You have a lot of chaos in the home, and
Yeah.
you're 14. So it's like it's become your norm. You say it was normal to you,
Normal.
right? Other people's trauma is not your trauma, right? So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
how was she able to do all of that and be in that house?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the grace of God. And then too, and I don't want to go into the whole um psychological part of it, because
Mm-hmm.
being 14, you're still a kid, you have a kid mindset. So
Correct.
subconsciously, you're not aware, that this is not a good fit. Like, you should not be in this position doing this by yourself, dealing with three adults, and you're only 14.
Mm-hmm.
But just know that there are other young people, I'm sure, who can attest to this. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even me as a teacher, I see it in my classroom. I have students who are the oldest, and they have siblings who are like maybe three or four kids under them, and they're taking care of
Mm-hmm.
them. And they're, again, I'm teach fourth grade, so
Mm-hmm.
I have 11-year-olds taking care of their siblings,
Mm-hmm.
and that is also traumatizing, because
It is.
when do they have time to be a kid,
That part.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
that cycle's happening even right now, and that's why I believe in bridging that gap. And God's called me in the area of relationship to really focus on the inner person, that child that's in us that we have yet as a caregiver to really nurture. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I feel like we got to do a couple episodes, because we
Yes.
got to help the caregivers. When do you get to relax? When do you get to say no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So this is so good. Okay. I want to ask you now, because I want to go into, what are some ways, you said, you mentioned that you were doing the work now, and I love that you are
Mm-hmm.
doing the work. I need all my quote unquote influencers to do the work.
Do the work.
Okay, don't be talking on these podcasts, you ain't doing no work. We don't want to hear that. We want to hear, we want to see the manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as you can tell, y'all, I've been doing the work. Period.
Mm-hmm. You
And
have.
so, and I want you to share what type of ways are you soothing, self-soothing,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to healing your inner child? What are some first steps? I have plenty, but I want you to
Okay.
go first.
Okay. Well, the first step was therapy. So that was the first step. But believe it or not, I didn't choose to get therapy for childhood trauma originally. Originally, I was in a 10-year relationship and we did couples therapy. So, in doing the couples therapy after, I ended the relationship, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should keep this and talk to this person about what I'm going through and see if it will help. So definitely I would say therapy. And before I move to the next one, I need you guys to be patient with therapy. Keep in mind, they're not going to solve your problems the second visit, third visit, fourth visit, fifth visit. It doesn't work like that. They're not supposed to solve your problems. They're supposed to guide you through you getting a resolution for what you're going through. Okay. So be patient, guys. Your first probably maybe even 4, 5, 6 months is going to be you talking, 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 so that they can get to know you, so that they can gather proper tools, proper homework to give you to be able to help guide you through whatever it is that you're going through. So that's the first. Also, the second is the power of no. I had to learn that, Nick. Let me tell you the power of no. When you're caregiving, you don't want to say no for anything because you feel like, oh my God, they're already dealing with so much. Oh my God, the life that they're living in. Oh my goodness, I just want to make their lives as easy as possible and as great as possible. But there comes a point where you have to say, you know what? Like I bring my mom home for the weekends and I do it periodically. And there are times when I would tell my mom, yeah, we're going to shoot for next weekend for you to come and visit me for the next 4 days or 5 days. That time comes and I'm tired and I don't want to. Or I want to be honest. Let's just say I want to hang out with my friends or my boyfriend, or I just want to chill at home and do anything. You know what I do? I'm honest with my mom. Ma, I love you. I'm sorry. I know I said that I can do it this week, but can we shoot for next week? Because I just I can't. I just really want either time to myself or I just want to hang out with my friends. And my mom, she sometimes guilt trips me. Not all parents do this, but my mom has done this as she started to get older. She will be like, well, you're always spending time with your friends, when we know that's not the truth, but you're always spending time with your friends, or, but I'm bored, or I'm lonely, right? But with my mom saying this, let's not talk about how she wanted to be a part of a work program. I put her in it. She wants to do art therapy. She was doing that. She stopped going when she wanted to stop going. My mom was refusing to do things and have hobbies on her own, and she was depending on me to meet those needs. And I felt obligated, like I have to spend this time with her. 74 degrees outside. I felt obligated. I have to, because she's going to be lonely. And even though her assisted living home takes her places, they take them shopping and everything. They have, they do things with them, but she doesn't have friends. She doesn't have a boyfriend. So it's like she depends on me to fulfill all of these things and take me here. Let's go to a concert. I take my mom to see all kinds of concerts. She saw Janet Jackson, John Legend. We do things, but it's okay, guys, to say no. I can't do this. And that's best for your mental health. And it's oh my God, it's amazing for theirs. Because let me tell you, you don't say no and you bring them anyway, or you hang out with them anyway, and you're not mentally ready, you're going to snap. You're going to have an attitude. You're not going to do what you need to do. You're going to experience burnout. So the power of no. And then lastly, fitness. I joined yoga. It changed me. Like, yoga helps center me. It helps keep me just on a straight line of positivity. It helps prevent, I was having headaches, anxiety, panic attacks at one point. Yoga saved me. So those are my top ones amongst other things, but those are the top.
That is good. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
I have to concur because I can feel when I'm about to burn out, and
Mm-hmm.
I will tell a person in a minute, okay? The older I get, especially now that I'm on a healing journey, and I have
Mm-hmm.
to shout out my trauma coach, David McKellar. He's is the owner of the mental fitness gym right here in Michigan, and he is the reanimation therapist. Like, he has really helped me see my trauma through. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be willing to give yourself grace to validate those wounds, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. You need to identify them and understand your younger self. That
Yeah.
is something I am learning now. I am
Yeah.
understanding her. I'm understanding what I allow, what I'm not going to allow, and tap
Mm-hmm.
into my inner self, my childhood, like that girl. That's the
Yeah.
person that I am embracing more, and that little girl is very proud of who I am today. I
Mm-hmm.
have accepted that. So you have to lean into that. And it is okay. I am saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost. I'm going to tell
Mm-hmm.
you right now, there is nothing wrong with meditating and visualization. Stop
Uh-huh.
listening to people who are not tapped into the Holy Ghost and not tapped into themselves.
Yeah.
Okay? Because when I begin to meditate, ain't no devil, ain't I don't know what people are saying. They are
Right.
not tapped into themselves. They are afraid to really face themselves. So it
Right.
allows them that whole fear tactic. They are afraid of what's going to happen if I deal with my pain.
Right.
You're going to learn the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
What didn't you learn? Why does
Mm-hmm.
it keep coming up in your new relationships? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
not dealing with it. You got to
No.
deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't deal with it, you will find yourself stuck, and
Yeah.
you won't find yourself progressing. You may
Mm-hmm.
have that person, a new person into your life, but guess what's going to happen? You'll be wearing a mask instead of
Right.
being your authentic self. And I
Mm-hmm.
refuse to be somebody I am not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
here to tell y'all, like, you have to deal with that. Okay, and acknowledge that. Number two, get it out of your body. So
Mm-hmm.
you who's afraid to deal with the whole looking at your past, it's in your body. It's in
It's
the back of
your
your mind.
body. It is.
And my trauma coach, he'll say it best. Our feet are roots.
Mm-hmm.
So your trauma is in your feet, not your
Mm-hmm.
brain, not your mind. It's in your body. So it's
Right.
stored there. How do
Right.
I get it out? Tap in with my brother David, because he's the one has helped me. He has realigned my body, okay?
Right.
And I look so different. Y'all don't even know. Like, I have pictures from just a year ago, and I look so different now. And not just because of the look, but inside and out. My
Mm-hmm.
mindset is clear. Okay, my
Mm-hmm.
emotions are regulated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my inflammation is down. It's a whole body wellness transformation when it comes to dealing with your trauma.
It
Okay,
is.
if you have that, because everybody's talking about it, but do you really have that?
Right. Right.
So that's a whole other piece that my boy David gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to bring him on.
Yeah.
But get that out your body. If you want to know how to
Mm-hmm.
get that out your body, tap in with David McKellar. He's on Instagram,
Yeah.
y'all. All
Yeah.
right. And reparent yourself. Oh my gosh. That is something. There's a lot of things I did not get. So we are around the same age, I think,
Yeah.
when our trauma began. I was like
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 years old, in the
Yeah.
shelters, in foster care, back with
Mm-hmm.
my mom, back in the shelters again. Again, the cycle over and over and over again, right?
Over.
So I had to reparent myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a struggle. It is a struggle when you don't have a mother figure. And I've had plenty. I'm not gonna sit up here
Mm-hmm.
and lie that I didn't have any, because I did ask God when I was 16 years old to send like-minded women into my life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe y'all need to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Ask the Lord to send, and He will send. All
Mm-hmm.
right. But you have to also be discerning of those type of men and women who come to say, "Oh, I'm here to be a big brother, a big sister, or a mother."
Mm-hmm.
Be mindful, because some people come just to have access to you and
Right.
not really be an asset to you.
Right. Ooh.
Hello,
You.
somebody. So I want y'all to be mindful of that. Because again, I'm on a healing journey now,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot relate to a lot of people
Right.
because I'm on a different journey. And it's no disrespect to nobody else. And
Yeah.
um, But I want you guys to be mindful of how to reparent yourself. Maybe you need to um, soothe, like you said, yoga is good. Um, Listening to healing music at
Podcast,
night.
journaling.
Journaling is another, that's another emotional outlet release that you can do, is journal. I do that as well, because when I go get my
Mhm.
reset with David, I have to journal and process what's happening to me,
Yeah.
um, the different things that's coming up. Because again, he may be working on my body, but guess what's happening? All the trauma is coming at me, and I'm like, what's going on? What's this
Mhm.
new emotion? And I have to make sure I'm able to navigate.
Yeah.
Again, be willing to be open and navigate that pain so you can learn from those lessons. What did I miss? Because you don't want to bring that into a God ordained relationship that He's bringing to your life. You don't
Mhm.
want to taint that. So we again be you're mindful about everybody else. You
Mhm.
doing it for every time Dick and Harry. You're a yes person, right? But
Mhm.
what about you? When do you say yes to yourself?
Mhm.
I want you to think about that. When
Mhm.
was the last time I said yes to me and
Mhm.
not feel guilty? Like you said it tonight. That guilt feeling. I don't have it no more.
Yeah.
My no is
Me
a
too.
solid no, and I'm not
Yeah.
telling you why. It's no.
Mhm.
I tell my students that. So if it's good for them, it's good for everybody else.
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
it's it's good for everybody else, because
Yeah.
you're don't overextend. And I tell this to people
Mhm.
too. If Jesus did not overextend, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
Stop doing that. You're not gonna get rewarded for that. No, 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 no. Only do what you can. That's
Mhm.
it.
What you can.
Everybody else got capacity. They can't help you with your mama, your daddy, whoever you siblings or so then if they can't do it, then
Mhm.
what you doing?
That
You
part.
can't do it. I
That
want you to
part.
start thinking about yourself. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That part. I agree, girl. I'm touching and agreeing.
One more
I
thing.
agree.
Yeah, one more thing I want you guys to think about is grounding. So this is something
Mhm.
that my trauma coach told me to do too. Again, once I go to my sessions, he gives me homework.
Mhm.
Okay, so grounding is one thing. He prefers you to go out into the nature because that's where you're gonna really connect. A
Woo.
lot of people are so disconnected.
Mhm.
You don't even know God's nature.
Mhm.
You do not know His nature. If you knew His nature, you wouldn't be on this broadcast. What listening to us? You
Right.
would be so in tune with who you are as a person and how you're showing up for yourself, how you're showing
Mhm.
up for other people. And
Yeah.
you will be more sensitive to regulate, okay, I'm about to be burnt out. Let me not do this. You won't
Right.
wait until your body collapse
Mm.
or you sick on the job or,
Mm.
you will pay attention now because again, everybody count on you. Okay. But is anyone there to be there for you?
Right.
So
Right.
now that I've done 14 sessions with David. Oh my gosh. A lot of yes, I've been with him for a minute. So on top of that, going to his facility. So I've been with him for over 3 years.
Okay.
And I will say that it's been an amazing journey. It's
Mhm.
been I've been really thinking about how I'm going to do my life going forward, personally and professionally, emotionally. Like it's been it's been amazing, and I'm so grateful that I'm in a space now that I can share it
Mhm.
without bleeding on the people. Because this is the thing: people see me and they don't see the progress I had to go through. The
Right.
process. Like
Right.
there's a process with this. Like you might
Yeah.
see this like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah, but you got to be ready to process your pain so you can get to the side of glory. When I mean the side of glory, I mean the side of
Mhm.
this is now becoming a lifestyle. Healing will become a lifestyle and you'll be okay with that. You really will. And you want to be around community. So now I am in search of a community.
Mhm.
And I'm so grateful that Christina has a community that I can be a part of because everybody don't know this area that we all go through.
Correct. They don't.
No. So tell the people what are some we gotta get off of this thing. Um Hold on. Hey D. Hey Deanne, you have no wait. You have to know when to sit down or your body will sit you down. That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is so true.
Yeah, that's true.
It will. You do not want your body to do that. So when I feel the same way with my mom. So when she wants to do something, she be extra.
Oh, girl, don't
It's
they?
it's
Mama.
like I I already told her what we're doing, right? And then she adding to it, ma'am. We're doing this one thing right here,
Mm-hmm.
and she just want to do X, Y. So it's like
Yeah,
payback. It's payback. That's all it is.
yeah, yeah. It is. It is. I think my mom does the same thing. And it's like in the power of no, guys, too, just to piggyback on what you were saying, you can also do little things in between. So, like if you're visiting your parent or whoever it is that you're taking care of, but you don't feel like doing it for a few hours, maybe you just want to take them to get something to eat, share a few laughs, and maybe see them a few days later, But just doing things in increments sometimes instead of having to do things for long periods of time. Because I know I would bring my mom with me. I used to bring her for like 2 weeks and a week and all this. And I had to be like, you know what? I love you, mom, but let me do 4 days, 3 nights this time. The next time I'm gonna do 2 nights, and then I'm gonna see you
Yeah,
quickly, take you shopping, do things. There are ways that, and I say that there are ways because you want to do ways that are, or a plan of action that works for you and your specific loved one, because not everything is going to work for everyone. So you want to do what's best for you with your caregiving journey. However, it is very important to look at other caregivers and say, you know what, if you're unsure of your plan of action, maybe let me try this, let me try that. And then you're trying different things, that's where you will find your way. So
that is so good because when you said your mom is over there 3, 4 days, I said no, I can't because of my life and things I have going on. And y'all know my twin
yeah,
is with me.
yeah.
So I'm helping my twin too. That's a whole other thing, right?
I
That
know.
I don't talk about. But
Oh,
he supports me in all that I do. He just asked
yeah.
me the other night, when is the next conference? I said, bro,
Ah,
make sure you watch us on YouTube because we have a lot coming up that we're doing
yeah.
with our series that's going to lead us right into the conference next year. So just hold on,
Yeah.
So and my cousin asked me 2 weeks ago when I was with him. So I appreciate people supporting, but it's a lot of work
Yeah, it
putting
is.
on events and being consistent. It is work, and
It is.
so people think it's as easy. It's not. Not at
Mm-hmm.
all, especially when you are genuine and people don't see the value in it, and you gotta keep trucking anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother rant. But let me get back on on the wheel. But again, all I have a lot going on, as you can see, and I cannot have my mom over as like I would like to, but I'm able to take her out, like you said. You have to do what you can do. You don't love them any less or more because you have things going on. You have a life
Right.
as well that you should be enjoying because we're on earth not to serve people like that. We're here to also enjoy the fruits of our labor. When was the last time you
Mm-hmm.
have enjoyed the fruit
Yeah.
working? Putting in that work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree with you. Do what you can. So I want to ask you one more question. We're gonna wrap this up. I'm not sure we have people watching right now. What's up, y'all? If y'all have questions, feel free to light up the chat before we get off here to head over to Instagram. So what is one thing? Because I know you said the real stuff took place around 13, 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What is one thing that you would say to your younger self today, if you could, at that age?
Um, the one thing I would say is that it wasn't my fault. Everything was not my fault. My mom being in and out of the hospital was not my fault. My grandfather's stroke was not my fault. My father, which I didn't touch on, not being in my life until I was 16, that's not my fault. So that's what I would say to my younger self. As far as changing things, I don't think I would have changed anything because I think that it made me stronger. It made me learn how to love people in a different light, in a different way. And I appreciate that journey. So I wouldn't change it. I would say though, you know how cliche wise some people will say, I wouldn't change my entire life for nothing. No, I wouldn't say that now. My childhood, no, I wouldn't change it because it made me stronger. But when I turned 18, 19, I would have changed that. So to that 18, 19-year old young man, young girl, however you want to identify yourself, and you're trying to figure out, do I want to stay where I am and take care of my loved one, or do I want to go and see the world, go live and, live my life? I would have done that, but in a way that I would have incorporated still taking care of my mom and aunt and making sure that they're okay. But what I did was I just gave up my dreams and goals and was like, I'm just going to sit here in Detroit, Michigan and just make sure my mom and my aunt is good. So I would have did a little edit there, made sure that they were good, but went after my goals and my dreams. That's what I would have done. But again, I feel like everything happens for a reason. So God had that happen for me to stay here for a reason. If I wouldn't have stayed here, I would have never got to my Guardian Chronicles platform. She would have never came to live with me. Like all of that is like God's writing. It was meant to be that way. So even though in my mind, I'm like, how would life have been if I would have chose a different path? It's like maybe I chose the right path for me. And yeah.
That is so good.
Yeah.
Yes, I had thought that's so funny you said that about your 19-year-old self because I became a mom's guardian at 19.
Yeah.
Okay. And I did put a lot of things on pause because of that.
Yeah.
But I'm doing those things now and yeah, I don't regret anything. I think like you said like it has shaped me into the woman I was supposed to become anyway.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I am becoming the person before the trauma began. I feel it.
Yeah.
I really do feel it, and I'm grateful that I'm able to share it now,
Mm.
um, in bits and pieces. And so that was beautiful. I love that it was not
Mhm.
your fault. That's something I
Yeah.
wow. I probably that's something I probably should say to my 7-year-old self, my
Yeah.
15-year-old self, my 19-year-old self, like,
Mhm.
no, you were meant to be here. You were supposed to be here. Because there
Mhm.
was a time and I told you that the person uncle had said that we were supposed to be aborted. If I was aborted, I would not have met you.
Yeah.
Okay, I would not have met Deanne. I would not have been able to birth this conference that God
Mhm.
is taking and turning it to something that I don't even know what it is. My hands are off of it. I'm just being led by Him. You know what I'm saying? And I have not encountered so many people who are inspired that are collaborators.
Mhm.
That trust in me.
Mhm.
And I appreciate everything that God has given to me at this point,
Mhm.
and I'm excited for the next episode because we're gonna go a little deeper. This was deep tonight, but y'all have this was just the tip of the iceberg because we're gonna go a little deeper about the different ways of healing that we talked about
Mhm.
and why it's necessary for caregivers to lean into these different arenas when it comes to supporting you mentally, emotionally. Okay, that's very, very important. So I want you to lean in a couple weeks when we come back. She said, you two are so amazing. Dan, you are amazing, girl.
Deanne,
You are
I love you.
amazing. What? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Your story is powerful too. Like really, I have to say thank you so much, Deanne. Always being there, supporting me. Um, without without trying to be put on, none of that. She just do it organically because she
Mhm.
wants to. Thank you for
Mhm.
always being there, sis. Love you so much. Can't wait to see you in a few weeks. I'm still trying to
See
figure out what
you,
else
boo.
I'm going to wear. Okay, let me get off that. um in 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks, April 1st.
Yeah.
April 1st.
It's coming quick.
Yes, it's very quick. Our next episode, our closing series, but I don't know. I don't know what you think. Should we do keep this going? I don't know what you think.
We can. I'm
I mean,
down.
we could talk offline about this
We
because I
gonna
feel
have to
like
talk because I like this.
you do. I mean, this would be good. So the next one,
Yeah.
guys, is rewriting the narrative. So
Hmm.
we kind of went into that a little bit now, but we're going to go a little deeper and talk about rewriting our narrative. What are we doing now?
Yeah.
Since we went through those things, how are we navigating and living today?
Mhm.
So rewriting the narrative and setting boundaries, protecting your
Mhm.
emotional energy.
Yes.
Period. That's what we're gonna be talking about in 2 weeks. Anything else you want to tell people where to follow you?
I
Those who may need support.
do. Yes, yes, yes. So, if you guys are caregivers, if you're interested in becoming a legal guardian for your loved one, or if you're just interested in caregiving resources or just want to hear the stories, I am at Guardian Chronicles on Instagram as well as Facebook and YouTube. Also, I interview those within the mental health arena who may have bipolar schizophrenia, similar diagnosis, or within those mental health areas. So, if you would like to be on my show, Guardian Chronicles Let's Talk Live, please send me a DM on Instagram or comment below as to one of my videos. And then, lastly, I have a new social group called Caregivers in the City. It's where we all get together virtually as well as face to face. We enjoy each other. We can go to lounges, bars, we go to the museum. We do all kinds of fun things with each other to give us a break on caregiving. And then also, I've created a space for our loved ones in which I create activities and things, and we go on outings with them as well. So it's still in process. So if you're interested, again, send me a message, more so on Instagram because that's where I am primarily. So send me a DM, I'll add you to the group or comment below one of the videos, and I will see you guys soon.
That is so amazing. Y'all better tap in for Christina, okay? Because I know I will be going to some outings because I
Yes,
need
you
it, and then
are.
I will have my mom. That will be a challenge, but we'll pray. So we'll
Oh,
see.
we
You know,
gonna
my
get it.
mom be, like, what is this? What is this? Just come, just
Oh,
come.
we gonna get it going. Girl, I'm so excited. Like right now, we have a good 10, 15 people within Michigan, but I want to do 3 cities right now. So I have right now Michigan. I'm gonna give you guys the 411 then, because I haven't said this on my platform yet. So I
Okay,
have Michigan, I have Houston, and then I have Chicago.
come
So I'm thinking
on.
about those
Yes.
arenas first. We have 15 people in Michigan right now, and then we're going to start our outings and everything because I've been planning. So now we're going to actually get to going. But I got to get you on there, you and your mom, and then I have to just finish getting all of the things going to get everybody up and ready because the only problem that I say that I've encountered is that our loved ones, like you said, sometimes giving them that push to want to go.
Yeah.
So I'm working with the caregivers to make sure that they're aligned. But so far, we have at least 15 people, if not a tiny bit more. But I'm excited because it's a start, you know? And in the other cities, I haven't checked with them yet. As of today, is actually my follow up to see how many that they have. And then we're going to get things going and get it all in process. And I'm just excited.
Yes.
It's new. It's something that I haven't seen yet. And if someone else is doing it, more power to you. I think it's beautiful, but there's room for all of us, just like with our mental health shows and, you being a relationship expert, it's room for you and all the other experts as well. So we can all help people and we can all help everybody get to where they need to be. So I hope you guys do check me out, check out the group. I hope and pray that it's a great fit for you and that it's I feel like this seed was placed on me and I just thought of it and it was like, okay, God, I see what you want me to do and I just pray that I have the action that he wants me to have. So I hope that it all works out great because I have the best interest of you guys as caregivers as well as your loved ones so we can make it easier for everyone.
Yes, come on. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for all
Yeah,
of that. Y'all
yeah,
make sure y'all tap in with Christina. And of
please
course, make
do.
sure you stay tuned. Share this video, those who watch the replay, with anyone you know who's a caregiver, who's maybe going through some things and needs some encouragement and
Yes.
need a support group to watch this, get the information, and join us right here in the D. All
Yes.
right, at the first gathering that's coming up soon, okay?
Yeah.
But in the meantime, make sure you come back, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And you also
Mhm.
have a YouTube channel as well. What's the YouTube channel?
At Guardian Chronicles.
Okay, everywhere. So make sure you tap in with her as well because we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about Motherless Child
Yes.
Part 2. Thank you all so much for watching. Deanne, if you're still on, I'll talk to you, girl.
See
Love
you,
you.
D.
All right,
See you
y'all take
guys.
care.